Hello, hello, hello. How are y'all doing? Everybody doing good? Mic check 1, 2. What's up? What's up? What's up? Let's see here. I did a live event today with Burl Tishner, Digital Woodcarver live event at 5 o'clock. And I almost forgot that I had an 8 o'clock event. I was like, oh, I ain't even put nothing out yet. So anyway, how's everybody doing? Hopefully you're doing good. Lay down their hairs. Okay. Tonight we're going to talk about, I love making seamless patterns or patterns in general, geometric patterns and things like that with when it comes to, and again, testing 1, 2, make sure you all can hear me. But when it comes to making, wall art panels or decorative panels or just decorative elements to, let's say, the top of a jewelry box or just anything, right? Adding it as, creating it kind of like as a background texture, of a carving or something, but it just adds that extra element, right? And I wanted to just have a discussion. And I wanted to go through and create a couple of, patterns with you and just, show you how you can create some pretty cool stuff with, just using your simple drawing tools and little imagination. And of course, online, you can search seamless patterns and get all kinds of inspiration and ideas and things, right? And so I thought, a nice little short discussion on that would be something fun. Now, real quick, I want to give a big shout out to Kool-Aid. Oh, man, I almost forgot. I almost wanted to call him Kool-Aid. I almost forgot your YouTube name, Kool-Aid. And Coolidge. But Kool-Aid, last week, I want to thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate you, man. Big shout out to you and everything. I don't think I gave you that shout out when you actually sent it to me last week during the live event and everything. But I wanted to make sure I acknowledged you in this, this live if you're watching and stuff. So big shout out. Thanks for that. Super chat. Okay. All right, everybody. Hey, we're going to just jump right on in. Don't need any big, long discussions and all. And let's see what we can come up. Hey, Jetty Vandal, thanks for popping in. Brooks Martin, good to see you again, buddy. Tony Patterson, Roger Brown, thanks for popping in. Anybody else out there in the chat, just or in there? If you're logged into your YouTube account or whatever, you can participate in the chats and all that wonderful stuff. All right. Let's get into it now. For those of you that are just popping in a little bit late, we're talking seamless patterns. And just, creating them, using them in, ways that we can use them in projects, like I said, for background textures or heck, just decorative wall art panels and things like that. So I want to kind of go through my process, like when I'm making patterns and things. And we're going to use node editing. We're going to use the array tool, the linear array tool for rows and columns. We'll use node editing and all kinds of fun stuff. Hey, John Thompson, thanks for popping in. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Okay. Here we go. All right. Now, basically, my job setup here, it could be, you can do this I'm not making any models or anything. Desktop, Pro, Aspire, all able to be done. My job setup on this is a simple 12 by 12 board. And we're just going to have some fun. Now, Generally, I will look up, online. I'll get some inspiration. I love geometric shapes and patterns and stuff like that. I like looking up, the term seamless patterns, and of course, we could go through and get images, trace, and all that stuff. Trace images, to create our patterns. We could purchase patterns off Etsy, all kinds of things like that, right? But I want to make a couple of patterns with you, and I want to go through the process and just kind of like, I don't know, maybe inspire you. I don't know. I might just inspire you. So here we go. All right. So for today's pattern, and it's a process, right? It's a process. So it might not look like much when we're starting and everything, but when we make it and we array it and all that stuff, it's going to be like, oh, that's slick as all be it, right? We'll go from there. Madre 3212, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. All right. So I want to start off with an polygon. Well, a hexagon, 6-sided polygon. So we're going to use the polygon tool, 6 sides. And let's just drag one out. I'm going to go a 1/2 inch out like that. We might end up going smaller in a minute, but let me get it on the board. All right. Now, I'm going to offset that inward. Let's try that again. Hold down that shift and control key. Don't forget the control key, because that's the copy, right? I'm going to offset that inward, and I'm just pulling it in. I'm not. There's no size right now or anything like that. I'm just pulling into what I think might look good, right? All right. Now, next thing I want to do on this is I want to turn it sideways. So I'm going to select this, right? Select the whole thing. I'm going to hit the number 0 key twice, right? I'd like to have a point at the top, a point at the bottom, and then I'd like to have the straight, sides on the sides on this 6-sided polygon. Hexagon. All right. So that's going to be the start of my shape. That's going to be where I start. I don't know why I'm moving it over here. It doesn't matter yet. We're not done it. Okay. All right. So my next shape is a rectangle. Let's do like that. I'm going to do a copy and paste. So Control C, Control V, copy and paste. And I'm going to hit the number 0 key twice to rotate that. And then I'm going to select those 2 objects. I'm going to make sure they're centered with one another, which they are. And I'm going to weld them together. Then I'm going to take that shape and I'm going to hold down my shift key. I'm going to select this shape and I'm going to make sure it's aligned to the center of that shape, right? Cool beans. And this one is already centered to that because I offset it, from that. So that's going to be the start of our shape here. All right. What's next? All right. Next, I'm going to do a rectangle and I'm going to snap it right to the side here. And then I'm going to offset that, excuse me, inward a 32nd of an inch. 0.03125. 0.03125. I want square corners and select new. Yeah, that looks good. All right, now I'm going to select these 2 objects here. I'm going to hold down, or I'm not going to hold down. I'm going to hit the letter G on the keyboard to group those together for a minute. But I want to move these over. I want to move them over to the right. So the move tool. And I'm going to go a 1/16 of an inch. Positive number, relative move on the X position. All right, so that's a 1/16 of an inch gap there. Cool beans. All right, now I'm going to create another six-sided polygon. And now this polygon, I'm just going to snap it right here on the corner for a minute, because it's not going to be a octagon when it's done. It's going to be a little bit of a different shape. But I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start doing some node editing. I'm going to pull some nodes down and all that stuff. All right. Excuse me. Let's go into node editing. And I want to pull this node down and snap it to the top of this one. Okay? Here. And then I'm going to use the move. I'm going to move, not the move tool, but I'm going to move a node. And when I grab a node and move it, whatever direction I move it, I'm going to type in the value, the distance I want to move. And when I hit enter, it'll move that distance, right? So what I want to make sure of on this one, it's very important. I want to move over straight and then up. So I'm going to use my guidelines or my smart snapping, if you will. And when I grab this node and I pull it to the right, I should get this dotted line, right? And I want to stay on that path. I want to stay on that path, and I want to type in a 16th. So 0.0625, and I want to move that over. Okay? Now, I also want to move it up, straight up, a 16th of an inch. So I'm going to pull this straight up, and I'm going to use this guideline or smart snapping guide, right? And I'm going to type in 0.0625. Okay? That's going to put me there. Now I want to do the same thing here on this one. I want to pull up first. I'll pull up 0.0625. And then I want to pull it to the right. Now on this one, I want to pull it to the right. I don't want to snap to that line that's there. I want to snap, like I want to go straight across. So I want my little guideline to pop up. And I want to make sure I'm moving along that guideline at 0.0625 and hitting enter. Okay. All right. So now the, in my length or distance, well, Snugglebug, hold on a minute there. Did I not go a 16th? Did I not? But it's diagonal. Let's do this. I want to back that up. I want to back that up. Let's see. Let's do it a different way. Let's do it a different way. I'm going to take this whole shape because this is not even the finished shape yet. I'm kind of moving early, but that's okay. I'm going to move. I'm going to use the move tool. And I'm going to move relative 0.0625 and up 0.0625. And I guarantee I'll land in the same place when I measure. I want to make sure. I just want to make sure I'm not a total idiot. Yeah, I knew I was right. Okay. I was right the first time. Either way, it would have worked just fine. So, was it? No, was that? Shoot. Kool-Aid, was it Doug Fushi? Doug, were you in my super chat last week, Doug? I said Kool-Aid. I can't remember. You two guys, Doug Fushi and Kool-Aid. I get mixed up because y'all both have your names are nothing alike. But both of you have given me super chats in the past, and my memory's not as great as what it was. But I want to give somebody a shout out from last week, and I wish I could go back. Dadgummit. All right, so that's that. Now, all right, now bear with me. There's a method to this madness, okay? There's a method to this madness. I'm going to draw a straight line here. And I'm going to extend that line just kind of like out to there. And then in the center of this part, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to go straight up. Okay, I'm using those kind of as my guidelines, right? Now, again, I'm drawing these shapes from scratch, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with me through all the craziness. All right, I'm going to take this shape here. I'm going to hit G for group for right now. And then I'm going to select this line right here. And I'm going to go to mirror. And I'm going to create a mirror copy and flip about the line. So that's going to put that there. Now I'm going to take this shape right here and I'm going to select this line and I'm going to flip about the line right there. And then I'm going to take this shape and select this line and I'm going to flip about the line right there. Okay? Wonderful. Wonderful. Now, that being said, I'm going to go back into here and I'm going to go back into node editing and I'm going to cut the vector right on this line right here. No, I'll just do it on the node. I'll cut the vector right there on that node and on this node. All right, I'm going to get rid of the rest of that, just keeping that line for a moment. Okay, on that line, I'm going to select that line and I'm going to hold down the shift key, select that, and I'm going to flip, creating a mirror copy, flip about the line. I'm going to select this line, flip about the line. I'm going to select this line, flip about the line. Okay. Now, I'm going to take these two shapes here and I'm going to join them together as one. And I'm going to take these two lines here and join them together as one. And then I'm going to select both of these and I'm going to join them with a straight line. Kind of connect them right there. Cool beans. All right, we're going to get rid of that for right now. All right, now on this particular shape right here, I'm going to offset it, creating sharp corners. I'm going to offset it inward 0.3125, a 32nd. Then I'm going to offset it a 16th. And then I'm going to offset that a 32nd. All right, and then I'm going to take a circle right in the middle of this shape and draw a circle right there. Okie dokie, tokie dokie. All right, now this is going to be the start of my pattern here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Ronnie, thank you. This is the start of my pattern right here, right? And now I'm going to be using the array tool. Now with the array tool, I can step over, you know, a certain number of rows, a certain number of columns. I can do a gap, a measurement like a distance between two parts, or I can do an offset. This an offset, if you look at the little graphic, it's the measurement from the left side of one part to the left side of another. And then from the bottom of one part to the bottom of the next, right? That measurement. So I want those two measurements, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take my dimension tool and I'm going to measure from the bottom of this part vertically to the bottom of this. We're going to call this the second part right here. And I believe it's going to be that 2 1/8 or 1 1/8, 1 1/8, 1 1/4. Yep, okay. And then I want to measure horizontally from the left side of this part to, we're going to consider this the left side of the second part. Okay, I want that measurement. 1.109. 1.091. All right, so now that gives me what I need to do my offset. Now, what I don't need, I only used these shapes here just for reference purposes so I could create this shape, okay? That shape right there. So now I have these three shapes right here, okay? All right, now I'm going to select those three shapes, and now I'm going to start my offsets, not offsets, my array. So with my array, I always like to do like 3 and 3 or 2 and 2 just to make sure my pattern's right. There's no sense in making 20 and 20 and then the pattern be wrong. I like to make at least a copy or two, you know, just to make sure the pattern's flowing correctly and everything. And so I'll do 3 rows and 3 columns, and I'm going to step over on the X right here, X 1.091. And on the Y, I'm going to step up 1.125. And I'm going to click copy. Okay. So that looks good. All right, pattern looks consistent and all that wonderful jazz. All right, let's go ahead and undo that. Now I'm going to create my actual array, right? So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do 8 and 8 to see what that gets us. Not even close. Let's undo. Let's go 12 and 12. Okay. That brings us to there. Okay, good. All right, so there's our pattern. Wow. All right, now with our pattern, right? So on our pattern here, you know, the left side of this should ultimately end up being the right side of this, right? Like if I were to take this pattern here, not my dimensions, and I were to, I'm going to grab it, I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to grab it right here, and I'm going to drag a copy, and I'm going to snap that copy right to the edge here. Not that edge. Let me grab it again. Let me find my center. There we go. Oh, don't hold the control key down, buddy, bro. All right, let me undo that real quick. One more time. Well, we don't need these numbers anymore. Let me, one more time, control key, snap right there. So now when I snap here and everything, it should, you know, kind of snap me to that distance, right? Automatically based on, you know, you know, it knows its thing. But let's verify. Let's make sure I am actually 1/16 of an inch. If not, I'll make a move. Right now, I'm going to hit G for group. To group those together just for a moment. But let me measure this, make sure it is 1/16 of an inch. From here to here. Ugh. I was off by a little bit. So what was that number? It was a bad number too. 6. Oh my gosh, I'm superstitious. Hold on a second. So we need to take this group and we need to move it to the left, negative number, 0.0666 minus 0.0625 equals, that's going to be a negative number. Let's make that relative move and pop that over real quick. And then let me remeasure that. Wonderful. Okay. So now, and the bottom, of course, should be the same as the top, right? So if I selected this, you kind of get the idea. You get the situation, right? So if I come over here and I select this, and let's say I hold down the control key, I'm going to bring this all up here, actually, because I want to actually grab it right in the middle this time, snap it right to the middle of this one, bam, and then I'm going to move it up a 1/16 of an inch, 0.0625, right? And then so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth, right? So these patterns, right? Woo! You know, so my left side ends off where my left side, starts off where my right side ends. So it kind of, I could literally build these up. I could save these vectors that I just created here. One section. I don't need all 4 sections. One section of this. Or I could even save just the 3 vectors, but I like the whole sheet. And I can save that as a DXF. I could export it out into my file, and I have that pattern, right? Well, let's carve this pattern, and let's see what it would look like in a panel or something. Now, I don't need all of this, so I'm going to actually get rid of those 2 groups and that all the way to there. And on this case, in this situation, let me get rid of that. In this situation, imagine if I have a border coming in, right, like a frame, and this pattern's only going to be in this frame, right? We typically, it wouldn't be repeating at that point. It would kind of be somewhat centered and trimmed off and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and draw a rectangle, and I'll offset that rectangle. I mean, I could have done it a different way to create the actual border, but I'm going to offset it inward. And let's just, for right now, we'll go 1 inch in. Sharp corners, all that jazz. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to take this group here, turn this off, turn this off. I'm going to take this group here and I'm going to kind of center it on the material. Not really the way to go if I want to try to create some symmetry to the pattern, right, and everything. And so on this, I want to try my best to find that, like if I was trimming this, that mid-ground, which I am going to be trimming it, right? I want to try my best to find that mid-ground within this panel, right? And so, looking at this and looking at the left side, right, where I am here, I'll just focus on one row, make it easy, where I am here versus where I am here. And I'm going to just kind of start bumping this over. I'm going to select this. I'm just using my arrow keys on the keyboard. And I'm going to start kind of bumping this over. To right about here, because I'm going to have, I'm going to be good right here and right here, fairly close. That gets me started, right? That gets me started. So that gives me a good point there. Now let's take a look at up and down, right? Where I am, we're going to, again, focusing on one area, like here, where I'm at on the bottom line versus where I'm at on the top line, right? On that eye. Let's see. So traveling upward, there's not going to be really a good middle ground on this. I'm going to hold down the control key, so I'm bumping little micro moves. I'm just going to go just above this circle here And I should be just below that circle there. It gets me close. I don't have to be perfect, you know, and all that stuff. It gets me close. All right, now I have something to work with. So now anything outside of that rectangle, I can start to eliminate, right? Anything outside of my rectangle, I can start to, that center rectangle, I can start to, oops, eliminate, right? One more. Okay, now I'm, you know, starting to get better. You know, these shapes and everything. Everything is fairly equal at this point. You know, we're starting with the shape, ending with the shape, all that, you know, the point to point kind of thing. So now I might be able to get away with centering that on the board, and it just bumped a little bit, right? So I mean, I was close. I was absolutely very close, and that's great. That's wonderful. That's good. Okay. Now let's go ahead and I think I heard someone say yes. You can save it. Yes. Isn't there a way you can save it to a timeable to your clip art? Yes, I'll show you that in just a moment for sure. Brooks, yes, 100%. The answer is yes to that question. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I only need to trim these outer objects, just the outer objects here, the outer objects here, the outer objects here. Okay. And this is why I grouped those three groups together at a time, so I'm not selecting every individual vector, blah, 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 you know, and all that stuff. It makes it easier. Now I'm going to hit G, and I'm going to group those together, and then I'm going to select this vector right here, and then I'm going to come into my trim tool, and I want to clear outside of the boundary, and let that process. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in 12.5. That just came out recently, and there's some cool features and everything in there. 12.5 is really, really focusing on your 3D experience, being able to work with your vectors, being able to do things like if I were to ungroup this, node editing, right? And with node editing, I can take advantage of, you know, the mirror features and things like that, with the, you know, mirroring horizontally and mirroring vertically. And for those of you that are new, right, to those of you that are new, if you're wondering what the mirror feature is in node editing, when you mirror horizontally or vertically, let's do vertical. Let's do horizontal. There we go. This virtual center line right here, this pink line you see right here, whatever I do on any two nodes or any nodes that I select, just we're sidetracking here for just a minute. But if I select this node here, okay, and then I come over and select this node here, whatever I do to either one of these nodes, it will do the same exact on the other side, right? It mirrors that movement and stuff. So whatever I do to the node on the right will happen to the node on the left, or vice versa, right? So it's mirroring those nodes. So that always ensures that, you know, if I were node editing and I were, you know, moving things to create, and I needed that symmetry, right? You know, from left to right or top to bottom or what have you, And the same thing with, if I select a node and I mirror, vertically, right? Whatever if I do something with a node here, this is kind of my center line, right? I can pick the node opposite of that. And whatever I do here, will happen to whatever vectors I'm selecting there. And I can have more than one node selected. So here, if I, right click and do that vertically again, if I had this node and this node selected, and then this node and this node, again, whatever I do to the two down there, that's going to happen to the two up there. So that's the mirror tool, right? That's the mirror when you're in node editing, what that does and all. But anyway, long story short, I'm going to hit undo to put that back. But there's a lot of advantages in the 3D. Now, a lot of things that we can do. We can do guidelines in the 3D view. We can create horizontal, vertical, or angled guidelines, and there's all kinds of stuff, right? So it's really the 12.5 really focusing. And there's quite a few videos. Kyle put out a 45-minute video from learn your CNC and stuff. He's got a video on what's new in 12.5 and stuff. All right, let's get back to what we were talking about here, this pattern, right? So notice here that I've trimmed outside that vector. So I got a nice, clean pattern now. Now, this isn't a seamless pattern at this point, right? I've just trimmed this to make a panel so we can do some carving, right? But this isn't a seamless pattern here, because on a seamless pattern, what I want is I want whatever's on my left. If I were to take this, let's pretend I do this, and I bring this pattern over, and I literally put it side by side, snap the two parts together, it would create a seamless pattern, right? And this isn't seamless. This is me centering this pattern and trimming it so I can do kind of a carving in the middle of this panel, right? So when we create our patterns, we want to be able to, if I take, my left side and I move it, I make a copy of this whole panel and I copy it to the right side, or, they're stack them side by side or top and bottom, they should flow perfectly, right? Perfectly. No lines. You can't tell where one starts and the other ends, kind of thing. This isn't a seamless pattern. So it's a pattern, but it's not a seamless one because I just trimmed it to do this carving, right? So, but the original pattern, which we'll back up to in just a second, and because I want to show you, like Brooks had asked about saving it in clip art and all, that's a seamless pattern because I can copy that left to right, right to left, and everything, and what happens on the left happens on the right, that kind of thing, right? And so the I keep looking over to my right because Lainey's chewing on something, and I'm hoping it's her little toy bone and not something important to me. I can't see it. She's got her back turned to me. All right, let's grab this. Lainey's my dog, by the way. And no, I did not name the dog after myself. The dog was already named Lainey. That's why I adopted her. All right, let's offset this line outward. I'm going to go just a small distance of a 1/16 of an inch, keeping that same offset feel that, all of my other objects are, that 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to delete the original, right? So I just want to, kind of create that space around these parts. Now I'm going to go ahead and select all this, and let's do a V-carve toolpath. V-carve toolpath, no flat depth, doesn't warrant a flat depth on this. We're going to use a 1/4 inch 60-degree V-bit with no clearance tool, and we're just going to calculate this out. I want to see what this looks like, right? Yeah, probably no, don't say that, Brooks, my video cable. All right, so now this one, there's two ways that I can carve this. Right now I'm carving around the objects, but then the next one will carve in the objects, right? So I'm carving around them, meaning that I selected the outside boundary with the carving tool. So it's carving around those parts, right? And okay, it's her bone. All right, there was just confirmation that it was her bone. Phew. No, you don't need to take it. It's fine. It's not. I don't think the microphone's picking it up. All right. All I hear is do. She's beating the bone against the wall. All right. So let's preview this visible toolpath here. And so this is the pattern carved. If I were to add some color to it, let's use the new surface color tool that's out with 12.5. So imagine I'm carving on a piece of melamine where the board's white, but the inside is this tan color and everything. So we'll go with a surface color of white, and we'll have that internal core color, right, of tan. Or imagine if my surface color was, I don't know, brown, and my interior color was a tan. The brown doesn't look as good. Let's go with a black. We can see that interior surface color. So the new surface color tool, and I can go with a lighter wood, but if we have those types of boards and all where one color, and then when you cut into it, there's that color underneath and everything. That's what we're getting, that kind of representation of that, that dual color. That's what the new surface color, it's a new thing added in. Love it. Wonderful. But let's actually do a fill color, the traditional fill color. Let's fill that carving in and see what that looks like. So that's a pretty, for just a couple of octagons, a little cross and a couple of rectangles, and then whatever shapes those are. But pretty slick little pattern there. Not too shabby. Right, not too shabby at all. Let's step back now. Let's step it back a little bit. And let's bring it back to the original untrimmed pattern. So I'm going to just use my Control Z, and let's step it back. All right, there we go. All right, let's get rid of this outer rectangle here. All right, now this pattern is a seamless pattern. My offset from one to the other would be that 1/16 of an inch. But when I come over here and I hold down that Control key, I can come in and snap to wherever, but set that 1/16 of an inch in that one pattern to another. And I could, when I create my patterns, I just need to make sure my distances are proper and all that wonderful stuff. So that's the pattern we want. Let me make my board a little bit bigger. Let's go, for right now, we'll go, actually, that's a lie. I'm going to go smaller. I'm going to go 6 by 6. You'll see in a minute why. And I'm going to click OK. Let's make sure my pattern is what I want my pattern to be. I'm going to get rid of everything that's not, that doesn't fit in that 6 by 6. Let's get rid of all of those. And let's get rid of all of these. Let me think. That is my pattern. Let me think what I want to. What I want to do. Bear with me. I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this down one more level. So let's go to here. Yep. All right, and I'm going to center that on the board. Okay, good. All right, and the dun, 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 dun. Let me see here. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. All right, 6x6, no toolpath in the there. Don't make sure there's nothing in there. Delete the toolpaths. Make sure that in the layers, I don't know where all my layers came from, but let's move all of this to layer 1. No, actually, that's a lie. We're going to move it to layer 1, but we're going to rename that layer, and we're going to delete everything else. So we're going to delete this and its data, and then we're going to delete all empty. And let's try that again. Delete all empty. All right, hold on a minute. Is this all on layer 1? Move to layer 1. Yeah, you're there. All right, it's going to make me do it one at a time. That's all right. I'm okay. I got time. All right, so anyway, layer 1, and now we're going to rename this layer, right? We're going to rename this layer, and we're going to call it, I don't know. We'll just call it cross pattern. Cross pattern. That's fine. Whatever the case may be. All right, so now I've got, well, let's try that again. CROSSPATTERN. Enter. Make sure you hit enter. All right, cross pattern, 6x6 board, no toolpaths, none of that stuff. And here's the important part where we save it. Right now, the first place I'm going to save it, it's going to be the long way around, but then we'll create a shortcut to the folder on the desktop or something. So we're going to go File, Save As. We're going to go to the C drive. We're going to go to Users, Public Documents, Vectric Files, Clip Art, and in Clip Art, we're going to create a new folder, and we'll call this, we can put it in the tileable ones as well too, but I'm just going to call, I will just call this Seamless Patterns. That's good. And then in that folder, we'll just call this our cross pattern 1, give it a naming convention, and we're going to hit save, right? Okay, so that's there. So now I want to come in and I want to go back to that folder here, and I want to right click and I want to, send this to, a desktop shortcut, right? And this way on my desktop, I have that shortcut where I can just drag and drop patterns into. I don't have to go to C drive, users, public documents, vectric files, clip art, blah, 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 right? I can just go right to the desktop, drop it in there, be done. Okay, that kind of thing. All right, now the reason why we do it on a 6x6 is because in our clip art here, when we're looking at things like the animals or the borders or anything like that, the nice little grid, this little grid here, I think of it like a 6x6, right? And that's what we want. We want to end up eventually creating a grid of patterns and everything. So if you'll notice, there's a new folder here called Seamless Patterns, right? And so with this folder, I can drag and drop this graphic in now from my, my clip art folder, right? And, over time, I want to create an entire gallery of, different patterns and different shapes and different things. And I'll have a folder with those, just like these tileable texture tools and not tileable textures and fill tiles and things like that, texture area tiles and all that stuff that are tileable and everything. Those are all cool. But now I also have, my patterns, my vector patterns and stuff like that that aren't models and all. And if it was custom images, images, graphics that I've traced, I don't want to trace images. I don't want to, every time I want to use that image in a project, I don't want to trace it every single time I want to use it. I want to trace it once. And then I want to put that tracing on a 6x6. I want to save it in a folder called custom images or whatever. And if I do that, if I select those vectors after I trace an image and I drop them on a 6x6 and I save them and everything, I can start to build up that gallery, right? I can just drag and drop. I don't want to have to trace and all that wonderful jazz, right? So now let me get out of this because I'm in that pattern one, right? Notice up here that cross pattern, right? I've already saved it. I'm going to say, when I close this, it's going to say, do you want to save that? I want to say no. It's already saved. Let me create a new file here. And let me go 12 by 12. And then, like I said, in my clip art, I can go to the seamless patterns and I can drag and drop, that design in. And then if I need to, I can create my array. Now, cool thing about the array tool is this is a group, right? This is, one pattern here. And, when I select it, I can group this together, right? And when I do the array, I could do the gap, if you will, right? The gap. Now my gap, left to right, technically, from the left side to the right side, the gap's not going to work. I need left side to left side and bottom to top. I need that number, right? I need that measurement. So that's my offset, not gap, right? Well, what is my offset? Well, here I'm going to take, and when I create this array, right, and it steps over, it needs to come here but be a 1/16 of an inch off that measurement, right? That's that distance. And same thing here, when I come to the, when I come up from the bottom of this project right here to the top of that project, there's a number. I need that number, that distance and everything. So if I came up here and let's say I'm going to grab it actually right here and pop it down there and I step it up, right? I got to step it up my 16th. Let's move it. Move it that 0.0625, right? That distance from the bottom of one project to the bottom of the next, that's my offset. Not up here, down here. This is the bottom of that second one, right? And this is the, the distance, once again. And by the way, let me grab that measurement while I'm there. Might as well. It doesn't hurt anything. So from the bottom vertically, from the bottom here to the bottom there, well, first of all, let me find my first group. I was off by one. Hold on. All right, there we go. From the bottom, okay, that 4.5 inches. Make sure all you booger. Hold on a minute. Let me watch this. I'm going to draw a guideline here so I know which one I'm measuring to. All right, let's do that one more time. I'll get it. My eyes were playing tricks on me. All right, so one time, bottom to bottom. All right, so that's my measurement there. And then if I take this, copy, drag it around to here, move that off a 1/16 of an inch. That's not the move tool. Move that off a 1/16 of an inch. And I take that measurement from the left side snap that guideline there so I don't forget. Take that measurement horizontally from the left side of this part to the left side of this part, right? That's my magic number there. Now, if I do that, if I have those two numbers and all, and I bring this in, I know those two numbers now, I can array this and create, let's say, my 12 by 12, and I'm doing an offset distance of 5.455 on the X, 0.455 on the X, and 5.625 on the Y, and I can create that, that offset, that wall of that pattern, right? Whatever it might be, all from that one little 6x6. I didn't need to go 12 by 12. That was a little much and everything. Hey, Madra, have a good night. All right, so that was a little much. I didn't need to go 12 by 12, but you get the idea, right? So the, I can create that seamless pattern from that one kind of thing. All right, let's do another pattern. Let's kind of come up with another pattern. Another one. Let's go to View, Guidelines, delete all guides. And we'll do one more, and then I'll answer. Let me answer a couple questions first. Hold on. And I'm stepping all over cables and things. Hold on a second. We were talking about cables, and I'm stepping on cables. Okay. Let's see what we got here. So James says, Laney, can you please explain in detail the offset that you use in VCarve inlays, and please explain why you do the offsets. Thank you. On inlays? The allowance offset? Oh. Are you talking about, all right, now, hold on a second. Hold on a minute, bud. Hold on a minute. Let me go, all right, here's one of those things, right? Node editing. And I'm going to right click and insert a point right here. And then I'm going to oh, let me see. I want to see the best way to do this. Let me see the best way to do this. Bear with me a second. Let's go with a 60. We'll do a 60-degree V-bit. 60, come on quickly so we can get back on track. Let's step here. Let's say that my VCarve is let's say that it's a 1/4 inch deep. So let's move that down. Negative 0.25. Let's go 0.2. Okay. Let's take a line, find the center here and draw a line right there. Let's select that V, hold down and select that line. Mirror by flipping about the line. Draw a line across the bottom. And then take our scissors and... All right, so that's going to be the female. And then G for group. No, I don't want to group that. That's wrong. I want to join that. All right, join that. I want to flip that. Close enough for government work. All right, let's join that. Okay, so let's pretend, if you will, and this is not drawn, correctly. If it were, there would be a slight little offset and all that wonderful jazz, but it gets the job done. Let's take this and rotate it twice. Let's kind of sit it here. And let's go here. Now, I'm actually going to go into node edit mode because there is a slight little offset and everything. I'm going to cut the vector here. And I'm going to cut the vector here. And then I'm going to... I'm going to mirror this horizontally, and then I'm going to select this node here, and then I'm going to just select this node and bump it over. Oh, you goofball. Hold on. Hold on. All right, I'm going to select those two nodes and those two nodes. And I'm going to just drag instead of bumping. I'm going to drag that over to there. That should be there. Scissor trim that one and scissor trim that one. All right. So let me join all this back together. Okay. All right, who is it? James. So James, when you have your, when you're doing a VCarve inlay, and I'm going to open up the VCarve inlay toolpath just for reference purposes and everything, right? There's really three things. There's really three sizes that, you want to do. First of all, for me, the V-bit, let me bring myself, give me just a minute. Okay. All right. V-bit, 60-degree 1/4 inch V-bit. The cutting flute on that 60-degree 1/4 inch V-bit is going to be about 0.21. All right, 21 height. Okay, 0.21. So I definitely don't want my pocket to exceed that 0.21. If I did, then I would use a bigger 60-degree V-bit, maybe a 1/2-inch diameter 60-degree V-bit or whatever. But I'm specifically right now using a 60-degree 1/4-inch V-bit. So I'm not my pocket depth is not going to exceed my cutting height of my blade, that 0.21. I'm gonna cut it off of 0.2. Okay. Now, so I have a 0.2 deep pocket. Now, when it comes to the mel, there are 2 dimensions that we want. One is going to be the glue gap. All right, so the glue gap is the space between when this when these 2 parts fit together and when they're compressed together, when the sides are in contact, the gap, the space down here, this void, if you will, that's your glue gap. And you want it to be, as minimal as possible, and things like that. Then the second dimension is the surface gap, the gap between when the male and the female together, that space between here. And normally that space is based on, I'm going to be taking a hacksaw or a saw to cut my male and female apart. So I'm going to run the parts through a bandsaw. Most likely I'll throw it on the CNC and have the CNC surface it down. But we're creating that space so we can run the saw in between the male and the female, cutting that off, and then we can sand everything nice and beautiful and all that stuff, right? So that's a surface gap and everything and all. So in the old school method and everything, when I was creating the female, or when you would create the female pocket, this was before the V-carve inlay, when we were just using the V-carve toolpath, right, to create the males and the females and all. The start depth for the female would be 0, and the flat depth would be 0.2. Okay, so that would be the pocket that gets cut for the female. Then for the male part, which of course the male part would be whatever the part was with a box around it, so it creates that positive, that raise. We're going to be carving around this material, and those 2 parts are going to fit together like you see here in this diagram, right? Well, on the male part, I need a start depth and I need a flat depth. Now, the start depth is basically, it's going to, you got to understand something. A start depth, anything other than 0, it's assuming that material is already gone, right? And so when I set a start depth, it's plunging that bit into the material down to the flat depth, right? And it's cutting and everything. So if I was doing a deep inlay, like for cutting boards and things that are going to get wet and all that stuff and everything, and we're getting way off track, but we'll circle back. Believe me, we're going to create that second pattern. But anyway, deep inlay and everything. There's a wonderful video. I forget the artist who made the video on YouTube on deep inlays. Look for the thumbnail of the YouTube symbol, like a wooden YouTube inlay and everything. Great diagrams, great explanation. Talks to you about how to make steps, to get to that depth, that you need and all. But right now we're doing a single pass on this little 3/4 inch, 0.2 deep inlay, right? So on the male part, I'm going to have a start depth and I'm going to have a flat depth. Now my flat depth is my glue gap. And I want that to be, for me, I like a 1 millimeter glue gap, which is 0.039, 0.039. 0.039 is 1 millimeter. Oh, that has got to be right. Hold on a second. Let me verify that really quickly. 0393. I was missing the 3. 0393. So that, I like a 1 millimeter glue gap, which is 0.0393 inches. So let's round that down to 0.03. Okay, so 0.03. That's going to be my, let's call that my glue gap, right? So then I need to equal 0.2, the full pocket. So my start depth is going to be 0.2 minus my flat depth of 0.3 or 0.3, right? So the answer, I'm going to have a start depth of, let's say that I have a start depth of 0.17, and that will give me a flat depth of 0.03. Oops, too many decimals on that one. 0.03. Those two numbers added together. Thank you, Stefan, for Sally's great video. Great video. Thanks, Brooks Martin, on that assist. Those two numbers added together have to equal my 0.2, the pocket depth of the female. So that's how I, on the old school way, that's how I create my numbers, you know, and that number could be, if I want a bigger glue gap, let's say I have a 0.06 glue gap, like a 1/16 of an inch, then 0.2 minus 0.06 is 0.14, right? That kind of thing. So that's going to be my start depth and my flat depth, that kind of thing. Well, if you've updated your software, in the new VCarve inlay, it asks you for the three numbers. Okay, my pocket depth is going to be that 0.2. That's the female pocket depth. My glue gap is going to be that 0.03. And then my surface gap, okay, that's going to be, and essentially it's going to be the start depth, right? So it's going to be that 0.17. Now, to verify those numbers, and let's look at that. Okay, let's bring this up, rotate it over like it's laying on the CNC machine. All right. My start depth, excuse me, my start depth let's pretend that's my bit right there, is 0, right? That's 0. Now, when I tell that bit to go down 0.17, so when I say that the start depth is, 0.17, let's relatively move down 0.17, okay? That, and again, if I don't know if this measurement is perfectly 0.2 right here. I just drew it from scratch, like on the fly, right? But anyway, let's pretend that it is. But that's my start depth. So that bit is going to plunge there, and it's going to, cut that other 0.03 to here, and that's what it's going to, clear away all that material, leaving that angle cut. Remember, this is a V-bit, right? And you can use an end mill for a clearance tool. But what happens is that 0.17, that 0.17, in the 0.03, it gets kind of reversed because the glue gap is actually the 0.03, right? The surface gap and everything, when I come and clear this out, when the 2 points fit together, that's going to be my balance. And the new VCarve inlay toolpath, the most wonderful thing about this is if you click on the question, let's go back to the big screen here for a minute. The wonderful thing about this, if you click on this and you click on this question mark, it's going to open the manual straight to the page of this tool that's going to explain everything. And it's also going to give you a video on all of those things, what each number is and how to come up with the numbers and all that wonderful jazz, right? It's going to talk about the different depths and everything in here. So the Vectric software is very user-friendly. And you're probably very much aware of that if you're watching this class. You already own the Vectric and everything. So you'll be able to get the rest of those answers. But in the old school way, my pocket depth would be 0.2. My start depth would be 0.17. My, reference would be 0.03. That's going to be my glue gap in between. That's how you create your male and females. That's what the offsets are for, and that's kind of the purpose of them. I don't know if that answers your question completely, James, but there's so many videos on V-carve inlay. And in the help section, little question mark right there, when it opens up that page, there's a video right there, short to the point, specifically talking about how to make a V-carve inlay in Vectric, right? So all the answers that you could possibly want, Becky does a great job on explaining all of that stuff and everything. Hopefully that helps. All right, let me see what Ed's question was. Ed, Lainey, do you have 2 copies of it on the layer? Because you did a copy to layer 1 and then you moved to layer 1, right? So let's go back and look at this really quickly. When I come in and create, this file here, you're going to see that there is layer 1 is the default layer for the Vectric software, right? And notice it's empty. You see that little empty sheet? But the layer that when we made the original design, remember I've renamed that layer 1 to cross pattern because it's always going to create that layer. It's always going to create that layer when you drag and drop it in and everything. It's going to create that layer, and all those vectors are going to be on that layer, right? That cross pattern right there. So layer 1 is still empty because I don't have anything on it and everything, Edwin. So I copied when I drew those originally. I copied them to layer 1. I deleted all the other layers and everything that were in there. There was like 6 that were just trash and all, but I deleted all those. And then I renamed that layer 1 to cross pattern before I saved it into my clip art gallery, right? So that cross pattern is there on that cross pattern layer. Now, if let's delete that layer, right? Delete that layer and its data. Right, so now I just have layer 1 and dimensions is empty. Let me delete that too. So just layer 1, right? And when I create, once again, drag and drop this on, it's going to automatically create that new layer called cross patterns because that's what that was on, right? It keeps things nice and organized, right? So if you traced a picture and you saved it into your custom images file, things and stuff like that. I have my textures here with a texture for a model type texture for a tapered ball nose, and all that wonderful jazz. Let's see how big that one is. But you create that layer and big texture. I knew it was. You create that layer. That way, when you drag and drop your, these little creations that you make in, it puts them on their own layer, right? It makes its own layer. All right. Okay. Let's try to. What time is it? 9:49. Just a few minutes. Let's take a few minutes and let's make another seamless pattern. I keep looking up here. I should be looking here, but you guys are, all your comments and questions and stuff are up here. To my camera, right? I guess you would call it, whatever you want. But we're going to make another pattern. We're not going to do, let's see here. I don't want to do like a beehive or anything like that. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do another one. All right, let's go with a. All right, let's zoom in. Let's do a rectangle here. Let's go into node editing, and Bear with me. What's going to be the easiest way to make a... What's going to be the easiest way to make a... Let's go like that. What's a good way to do this? Oh, I know a better way. Hold on a minute. I'm an idiot. I'm such an idiot. All right, let's not do that. That was going to be the hard way. Let's use our polyline tool there, big boy. All right, let's go. I'm going to go with a 45-degree line here and 45 there. Perfect. On my line lengths, let's measure. I'm going to use just the regular measure tool, and I'm going to measure a span by clicking on, oh, that line is crooked. Hold on a minute. How do I get a crooked line? Give me a second. Let me do that again. Okay. That line with the measure tool, if I measure a span, it should be 1 inch long. It is. So I'm going to take another line and come down here 1 inch. There we go. All right, now I'm going to take those 3 lines and I'm going to offset them outward. Let's go 1/16 of an inch, 0.625. Oh, hold on. Let me get the node editing. I want to cut it into separate lines, 3 separate lines. Cut the vector there. Okay, let's do that one more time. I want to go both directions, not outward. Offset both directions, 0.0625. Okay, that's good. I can work with that. And let's do some scissor trimming here. Let's bring that together. Those two together, those two together. All right. I'm going to group this, G for group. I'd like to complete one of these parts. So what I'm going to do to complete one of these parts, I'm going to hit G for group right now. And I'm going to drag, I'm going to hold down the control key. I'm going to drag one of these parts by the middle, right by the middle here. And I'm going to drag and snap it to the middle there. And make sure that's snapped there. And then I'm going to take this one, grab it in the middle here, and I'm going to snap it right here. Snap it right there. And yeah, that'll be good. Okay, so let's do, I don't need to do 2 of these. I need to do just one. I need to complete one. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to use my scissors. Well, first of all, I'm going to ungroup this one. U for ungroup. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim this. That and that. All right, cool beans. I'm going to take this and move it again. snap it right there. I'm going to take my scissors and trim that and that. Good. Well, you're an idiot, Lainey. Hold on a minute. Let me put it back here. I need this, this, and that, and that. Yeah, I need that to be joined as one. There we go. All right, let me take this, grab it here, and snap it over there. All right, let's take the scissors. Let's trim this, that, and that. Wonderful. Select these three. Join those together as one. Select this. Grab it down here and pop that right there. Take the scissors. Trim that. Select this, 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 and that, and join that together as one. Okay. Now I can get rid of this one here in the middle, and I have this shape. All right, so now what I want to end up with is one closed shape with one open or two open. I want, bear with me a second. I want this and that to be one, and then that's fine by itself. All right, so I got one closed shape, and then I got one there and one there. Perfect. That's all I need. Okay, now the start points on this, before I group all this together, I want to go into node editing, and I want to make this the start point. Are you gonna? That's already a start point there. That's good. You don't now. Hold on a minute. We're almost done. We got a couple minutes left. Let's see here. Let me move this one down. I'm gonna hit bump, bump. Oh, oh, oh. That might be the reason why I might have duplicates. Let me see. Node editing. Why, oh why? I wonder why it's not going to let me make that a start point. That is one continuous vector. One open vector. That's crazy. Okay, that's fine. I can deal with that. I can deal with that. So I can come here, and that's fine. That's good. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it going here like that, and then down there when this cuts. Okay, so now let's take this part here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move it down here. And just like you saw me do a moment ago, I'm going to take a copy of this. Hold down the control key. Oh, don't do that. I'm going to take a copy of this. Let's hit G for group right now. And I'm going to snap one copy there. And I'm going to make a space, move upward. I'm going to go a 30-second, 03125. Okay. And then I'm going to take this, hold down the control key. I'm going to snap that there. And I want to move this downward in this direction right here, the same 0.03125. So I'm going to grab it here. I'm physically going to move it along this line, and I'm going to type in 0.03125. Make sure you stay on that line. Let me undo that just so you can see that again. I'm going to move it. Stay on that line right there, 0.03125, and hit enter. So it'll move back that 30-second. Let's take the control key, grab it here, drag this and snap it there. Once again, grab it here. I'm going to move it back. Make sure my lines are orange, meaning I'm moving along that path. 0.03125, enter. Okay. Now, I would normally make this thicker, right? The Y's thicker and all that stuff, but it's fine for right now for what we're doing. All right, thicker. Okay, now, here's the dealio-bilio. My measurements. We're going to go from the bottom of one part vertically, from the bottom of one part to the bottom of the next part, and then from you go to your furthest point, right? If I bring a guideline over here, just so you know, if I bring a guideline over, my furthest point is right there. You know, it's this is the furthest point, right? So if I measure, I can measure from down here up here. They're both in line with each other. So from here to the left side of this part, horizontally this time, either way, we'll put the number right there. All right, that's my two numbers, my two offsets. I don't need this. I don't need this. And I don't need this. I do need that. Okay, I just needed the numbers. I made those copies to get the numbers. Once I have the numbers, now I can come in and I can do my array. And once again, I like to start, we'll do just 3 and 3 for right now. But my offset, my X, is going to be 0.7917, and my Y is going to be 1.1196. I'm going to hit copy, and you can see that, in fact, it's true, but there's a displacement that has to take place, right? So these, every other row, it doesn't matter which one, I'll just grab, hold on a second. These, every other row has to be displaced, and it has to be displaced, basically that means offset, it has to be displaced by that distance, right? And that distance right there. And then, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Every other pattern, that displacement has to take place. That is 100% correct. I need that measurement. We'll get that measurement in 2 seconds. But I also have this overlap to deal with. So on my parts, I do need, they're not going to be the same. This one is perfect down here. Oh, it's going to be a good pattern too. I just got to nail it. Give me a second. We're going to nail it in the next 5 minutes. Stick with me, ladies and gentlemen. Stick with me. We're going to nail it. That's my displacement from here to there. That's my displacement there. But my arms are too long because I'm an idiot. My arms are too long. 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 Okay. My arms are too long. My Y arms are too long. So let me get my my leg is too long. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. My shape's got to be perfect. It's got to be very symmetrical, and right now it's not. Okay, let me get rid of these parts, and let me take a look at this one more time. Let's get this party started. I got to get my symmetrical down. The length. I thought my length was correct, but as we can see here, you know, I'm long, and I'm tall. So this technically needs to be up here, right there. That means that my stem needs to be longer. And if my stem was longer, then I would be good. I think that's the only thing I need to do. Let me take this. Bear with me a second. This is how I find out. Hold down that control key. Yeah. So all I need is my stem to be longer, right? And this looks like it's a table leg sitting on a table. I want it to kind of come. I want that 16th of an inch apart, or that 32nd of an inch apart. So no problem. Wonderful. That just tells me what I need to know. So all I really need to do is I'll delete those for right this second. I'm going to keep this right here because that's the proper spacing, but I'm going to go into node editing on this part. And I'm going to select these three vectors, and I'm going to just drag them down to here, okay? But then I'm going to move them up a 32nd. So I'm going to grab them and move them up, straight up, 0.03125. Okay, that's my distance. Now, that means, or that should mean, that if I did this right, or if I'm correct, then I should be able to take this, and this is what I love about drawing patterns and coming up with them and everything. Let me get this here. If I move this way, a 32nd, so move, type in that 0.03125 right there. Okay, so I'm just off. So I'm just off, and that's fine. That tells me that my assembly thirty second. No, I'm a goober. Hold on. Put that right back there. All right. Now move this whole thing up. The whole thing, not just the stem. The whole thing. Move it up Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call drawing on the fly. 0.033125. Enter. Move that up as a whole. Now, if I take this, hold down that control key, snap it here, but move it along my line. Stay on that line now. It's important to stay on that line. .03125. There we go. 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 Perfect. All right. Now let's get my measurements again. Redo my measurements. So it takes a second, right? It takes a second to kind of get your crap together. All right. So horizontal measurement from the left side of part 1 to the left side of part 2. And then vertical from the bottom of part 1 to the bottom of part 2. All right, let's go ahead and get rid of these parts here. I'm going to group this together. G for group. It's already grouped. All right, let's do that one more time. Let's do an array. We'll do 3 and 3. 07917 is correct. 1.1196 is also correct. That's perfect. Now I got to do my displacement. And I should have measured the displacement before I deleted those other parts. Hold on a minute. I got to measure my displacement. So every other row has to step down, and the distance of the displacement, let me get that measurement, which is from the bottom of this part to that's vertical, from the bottom of this part to the bottom of that part. That's my displacement measurement. All right, one more time. Lord have mercy. I was about to freak out. Freak out? All right. Let's do that array. And sorry to waste your time, ladies and gentlemen, but we're just having some fun and drawing some patterns if you're just now joining us. All right. We're going to go 7917 on the X, 1.1196 on the Y, and my displacement, Y-axis up and down, is going to be 0.7551. It's going to be a negative number. It needs to go, I'll go down. Negative. Okay. Either way. All right, let's click that. And why? And that's so perfect right there. Let me think. My right side it's a pattern that I love, and it's a pattern that's going to defeat me. Let's see here. Let's see. We've got these 3 shapes. They step over every other line. Boom, boom. Perfect. The displacement is correct. The displacement is correct. But that's perfect. I am doing an offset. Yeah, offset. That's correct. from the left side of one part to the left side of the next part. Why? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I think I defeated myself. Or I got defeated. Hold on a second. Why isn't that symmetrical? Why isn't it? Should be perfect. But if this were to be perfect, if that were to be perfect like that, boom, 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 then so if this steps over to that, that's perfect. And if that steps over to that, that's perfect. I don't think you modified the bottom leg of number 1. You did on number 2. Oh, Edwin Fisher, you are a lifesaver. You are a lifesaver, Edwin Fisher, because I was about to go nuts, my man. Hold on. Let's get back there. I was about to go nuts. That was my measurement, right? That's the one I modified. I didn't modify number 1. Thank you, Edwin. I was about to go insane. Let's see if that's correct. And what I did, how stupid was I modified that length of number 1. I need, if this is going to be the length, right? When I copied these over like this, when I grabbed the copy and I went here to do this modification, that 30-second everything, they are a pair now. They're a pair, right? Thank you, Edwin. You saved my life. Okay, so this is one part. This is one part. So my measurements, I need to ungroup and group that as one. That's one part right there. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you. I would have been there forever chasing my tail. This right here is one part. So now I copy this over, and we'll just do it right here. And I want to get that 30-second. Let me get it centered there. I want to get that 30-second inch movement. Move that back. 0.03125. And that should give me that nice layout there. All right. And then I need, so this is one part. So now I need this, and it goes up here. And then I move that back 0.03125. That's going to be part number 2. Now I get my measurements on that. Thank you, Edwin. You saved my day, brother. You saved my day. All right. So vertical measurement from the bottom of part 2 to the bottom of part 1. That's my y-axis. The left side horizontal of part 1 to the left side of part 2. And then my offset displacement from here to here. All right, my man. All right, all right, all right. Lord, I would have been going insane for like days on that one. Been like, I'd have left the class and said, why didn't that work? Why didn't that work? And Rick, let me see here. Who said that? Yeah, Rick said the same thing. Rick said it before. Yeah, okay. You extended the leg vertically on the pattern, then deleted it like an idiot. That's what Rick said. Rick said you deleted it like an idiot and then reverted back to the bottom one, which was not extended because you're a goober. That's what Rick said. Rick said that. I see it right there in the print, Rick. But that's what he was thinking. He's like, you're an idiot, dude. Okay. All right. So Now we do our, this is one part here. Let's do our array tool. We'll do 3 and 3 just for right now. So 7917 is still going to be correct. This measurement is going to change. It's going to be 3.7524. And then my displacement is going to be, I'm going to displace it down. So negative 0.7551. All right. Okay. So every other one. So the displacement, every other one. So that's every other one. Give me a moment. Well, that's a cool pattern. My X 3.7524. What did I measure to up there? Let me hit undo. What I measured, that's why I'm like, what in the heck? See, little things. You get flustered and all of a sudden the little things get you every single time. Let's do a vertical measurement again. From the bottom of part 1 to the bottom of part 2. Vertical. That's a better number. That's a better number. Lord have mercy. Thank God for Control Z. All right, undo. All right, here we go. Last time we got it now. 2.6328. Displacement is negative 0.7551. Okay. It's going to be right, but it's going to be short on everyone because my second leg is too short, right? So yeah, I modified that, but the second leg is going to be too short. It needs to be as long as the top leg because that's what it needs to be. So I need to delete this. I need to delete this. I need to ungroup this, get rid of this bottom one, and duplicate this top one here because that's the one I modified. But I still need these two parts to be two parts. Let's move that down. Negative 0.03125. Okay. Wonderful. G for group. This should work now, ladies and gentlemen. We should be good to go. Let's just take one more time. Let's take our final measurements. What we're looking at, is this is going to step down to here just like that. Let me move this part first. 0.03125. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Let's get the measurements one more time. And then let's call it a day because I am an idiot sometimes. All right, so from here to here, that's my offset there. My displacement vertically is going to be from here to here. Number should be the same. And then from the bottom of part 1, 0.03125, bottom of part 2. Get that measurement. All right. If y'all are betting on me, I think you're going to win big. That's my magic number. All right, let's do it to it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. All right. 3 and 3 for right now. So 7917 is going to stay the same. 3.0263 is going to be the new number. And then my displacement is going to be negative 0.77 or 7551. Let's create that. Yeah, boys and girls. Now let's go ahead and undo that and let's create our big pattern. Let's go. We'll just go 12 and 12 for right now. It took us an hour to get there, but I should have went, let me hit undo. Let's not do 12 rows. Let's just do 8 rows, but 15. Let's go 16 columns. That'll work. Delete that. Wonderful. Fabulous. I can work with that. So this is that. That'll be my seamless pattern right there. All right. So, we now have, created this pattern. Once again, we could trim to create panels and all that for all that, just to show you the frustration of how to create seamless panels. No, just kidding. It's really fun, and it's not frustrating. It's challenging, right? I'm 50 years old. I want my mind to stay sharp, so it takes me a minute. Thank God for Rick and thank God for Edwin. They were both looking out for me and everything. They're shaking their screens, their computer screens, going, look at the comments because we're telling you what you did wrong, right? All that stuff. But thanks, guys. That was a big save and everything. But long story short, right? And, here, if I wanted to, this is a seamless pattern, but I'm just going to hit ungroup for a minute. And I'm just going to get rid of this top leg for just a second. Okay. But anyway, if we were to just really quickly, if we were to go look at a Google search, right, of seamless patterns, you'll get a lot of flowers and stuff, but what I like is the geometrical shapes, the shapes, even these leaf shape, right? This leaf shape pattern. There's a rhyme and a reason to that. You can draw that pattern, and there's an array there. If you find the group, is it 2 of those petals? Is it 3 of those petals? What is the repeating sequence, right? There's something repeating there. But I, more so than those shapes, I like to get into the geometrical shapes. Now, here is, a variation with the wider Y, shorter, wider Y, those block type things. That's what you're kind of almost seeing with my skinny Y kind of deal. It's a popular, pattern. But another great pattern is this triangular one, or even this one, which, gets more and more involved. But I love geometrical shapes. This one's a fun one. Design free seamless patterns, right? So all these patterns, right? They're all here. I don't know if you can see these different shapes and everything, but so Muse themes and everything. So there's vector and PNG formats and stuff. You can create a count. You can grab any of these, right? Or you can draw them yourself. This is just circles and 4-pointed stars kind of deal, right? And just fun stuff. You can get as, you can get as crazy as you want, but imagine, these as wall art patterns, or, decorative wall art, carvings where, is the pattern, is the bit cutting every other one? Is it cutting on the line of this? Is it cutting, how is it cutting to really bring this out? Is it just cutting out, every fourth one, to create that pattern, to really create a beautiful carving in things. And and then if you make it seamless where the left side is the right side, meaning if I moved it, over, or the bottom is the top, and I moved it up, and I can create this seamless pattern, then now you have repeatability. So now you can, instead of stretching and skewing, you can just array it across your your sheets. But now let me see here. Rick has a question. Rick says, park it in the garage and let's go home, LOL. But why? Park it in the garage and let's go home, meaning, yeah, we're 2 hours in, so we're going to be done. So we're done there. But what is the but why? Rick, just so I know, because that's a legitimate question. But why? But why seamless patterns? But why, what's the but why? But why what? Let me know. And we'll answer that, and that'll be how we end on that one, Rick. And let's take it one step further as Rick elaborates on that. Decorative CNC panels. But why, for me, and things, why would I do this when I'm carving, panels for windows or see-through? But why? Why pattern, play on words? Gotcha. Yep. But these beautiful panels, wood panels for room dividers, for wall art, for like a inlay to a tabletop, for the doors of a little closet or curio or cabinet, or the top of a jewelry box, or all these things, right? That's, for me, the play on words. But that's the but why. Why make these patterns? Why is this a useful thing to learn and know? Just imagine, look at this beautiful archway, right? Look at the light that comes in. People pay money for that stuff, right? That kind of thing, and you can have some really awesome designs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as Rick said, let's park it in the garage and go home. Let's go back to me here for just a moment. There we go. Fretwork. Yeah, fretwork. Exactly right. But some beautiful stuff, right? Beautiful wall art, beautiful window, inserts, for that archway or for whatever, right? Whatever. I just wanted to play around with some patterns. That one took a little bit longer than it should have. That Y pattern, it was my screw up, trying to rush and not paying attention. But Rick and Edwin saved the day. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that, looking out. And let me make sure that I didn't miss anyone. Real quick, that deep inlay, whoever's asking about inlays, Stefan for Sally's, his deep inlay video, older video, it's got a YouTube symbol, like a wooden inlay. But also Brooks Martin pointed out that Stefan also has an epoxy stained glass video of Donald Duck that's pretty cool and stuff too. Really good stuff and everything. But gentlemen, ladies, everybody that's watching, I appreciate you all. Yeah, man, come up with something creative and fun. I love patterns. The challenge for me is what's fun. And then when it comes out and it looks good, that's awesome. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for tonight. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place, same channel. See ya. Thanks again, everybody.